Once upon a time, in a small town, there was a famous restaurant called Maria's Kitchen. The restaurant was owned by a kind and gentle woman named Maria, who was loved by everyone in the town. Maria's Kitchen was famous for its delicious food, but most of all, it was famous for its secret sauce. The secret sauce was a special recipe that Maria's family had kept hidden for generations. It was a sauce that made every dish taste amazing, and people came from all around to taste it. But Maria's Kitchen was in trouble. A rival restaurant owner, Victor, wanted to buy the secret sauce recipe from Maria, and he would stop at nothing to get it. Maria's son, Alex, had just returned to the town after being away for a few years. He was a talented chef and was determined to help his mother save the restaurant. Alex knew that he had to act fast, or Victor would take over Maria's Kitchen and steal the secret sauce. One day, Alex met a food blogger named Sophia, who was in town to review Maria's Kitchen. Sophia was a curious and brave woman, and she loved uncovering secrets. Alex told her about Victor's plan, and Sophia offered to help him. Together, Alex and Sophia started to investigate Victor's plan. They discovered that Victor had a dark past, and he would do anything to get what he wanted. They knew they had to be careful, but they were determined to save Maria's Kitchen and the secret sauce. As they dug deeper, they found themselves in a dangerous game of cat and mouse. Victor would stop at nothing to get the sauce, and Alex and Sophia had to use all their skills and cunning to outsmart him. Would they be able to save Maria's Kitchen and the secret sauce? Only time would tell. Alex and Sophia worked tirelessly to uncover Victor's plans. They spent long hours in the restaurant's kitchen, searching for clues and gathering evidence. They talked to the employees, trying to see if anyone had any information about Victor's schemes. One night, as they were closing up the restaurant, Sophia noticed something strange. A piece of paper on the counter had a few scribbled notes on it. They looked like a recipe, but there was something odd about it. "Alex, look at this," Sophia said, handing him the paper. Alex examined it carefully. "This looks like a recipe for the secret sauce," he said. "But there's something different about it. This isn't the real recipe." Sophia's eyes widened. "You mean someone is trying to recreate the sauce?" Alex nodded. "It looks like it. And I think I know who might be behind it." He pulled out his phone and dialed a number. "We need to talk to my cousin, Carlos. He's been acting strange lately, and I think he might be working with Victor." Sophia's eyes sparkled with determination. "Let's go talk to him." They headed to Carlos's house, their minds racing with possibilities. When they arrived, Carlos answered the door, looking nervous. "Hey, guys. What's up?" Alex got straight to the point. "We know you're working with Victor. We want to know why." Carlos sighed and stepped aside, letting him in. "I didn't want to, but Victor threatened me. He said he would ruin the restaurant if I didn't help him." Alex's eyes narrowed. Help him with what? Carlos hesitated before answering. He wants me to steal the secret sauce recipe. Sophia gasped. We have to stop him. Alex nodded. We will. But first, we need to get the evidence we need to take to the authorities. Alex, Sophia, and Carlos hatched a plan to gather evidence against Victor. They knew it wouldn't be easy, but they were determined to stop him. The next day, Sophia went to Victor's restaurant, posing as a food blogger. She asked to meet the chef, and when Victor appeared, she started asking questions. What's your secret ingredient? She asked, trying to sound innocent. Victor smiled slyly. That's a trade secret. But I can tell you, it's something special. Sophia nodded, taking notes. I see. Well, can I at least take a picture of your kitchen? Victor hesitated for a moment before agreeing. Sophia snapped a few photos, making sure to get a shot of the suspicious-looking sauce bottles in the background. Meanwhile, Alex and Carlos were snooping around Victor's office. They found a hidden safe, and after some effort, they managed to crack the combination. Inside, they found documents revealing Victor's plan to sabotage Maria's kitchen and steal the secret sauce recipe. They also found a threatening letter to Carlos, warning him to cooperate or face the consequences. Armed with the evidence, they went to the authorities. The police raided Victor's restaurant, seizing the fake sauce bottles and shutting down the operation. Victor was arrested and charged with fraud and extortion. Maria's kitchen was finally safe, and the secret sauce was secure. But as they celebrated their victory, Sophia noticed something strange. A mysterious figure lurking in the shadows, watching them. Guys, I think we have another problem, she said, her voice low and urgent. Alex, Sophia, and Carlos exchanged worried glances. Who is it? Alex asked, his eyes scanning the area. Sophia shrugged. I don't know, but I've seen him around before. He's always lurking in the shadows, watching us. Carlos's eyes widened. I think I know who it might be. I've seen him talking to Victor a few times. Alex's grip on the evidence folder tightened. We need to find out who he is and what he wants. They decided to investigate further, following the mysterious figure from a distance. He led them on a wild goose chase through the town, finally disappearing into an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts. The trio approached the warehouse cautiously, their hearts racing. Inside, they found a makeshift laboratory, filled with strange equipment and chemicals. Suddenly, the mysterious figure emerged from the shadows, a sinister grin spreading across his face. Welcome, Alex, Sophia, and Carlos, he said, his voice dripping with malice. I've been waiting for you. My name is Dr. Lee, and I've been working with Victor to create a new, even more potent version of the secret sauce. As the battle raged on, Alex, Sophia, and Carlos fought alongside the chef, using their wits and culinary skills to outmaneuver Dr. Lee's forces. But Dr. Lee himself was nowhere to be found. He had retreated to his secret lair, a heavily fortified bunker deep beneath the laboratory. The chef led the group to the bunker, his eyes blazing with determination. "We need to stop Dr. Lee once and for all," he growled. As they approached the bunker, they heard a voice echoing from within. "You fools," Dr. Lee cackled. "You'll never stop me. My mind control source will soon be spread across the world." The chef charged forward, his fists flying as he battled Dr. Lee's guards. Alex, Sophia, and Carlos followed close behind, their hearts pounding with excitement and fear. Finally, they reached the heart of the bunker, Dr. Lee's control room. The mad scientist sat in a chair, surrounded by screens and buttons, a maniacal grin on his face. "Welcome, my friends," he said, his eyes gleaming with madness. "I've been waiting for you. Now, it's time to say goodbye." And with that, Dr. Lee pressed a button, unleashing a wave of mind control source that threatened to engulf them all. The group held their breath as the mind control source spread towards them. But the chef was quick thinking. He pulled out a small vial of antidote and tossed it to Alex, who caught it just in time. Alex threw the antidote to Sophia, who was already starting to succumb to the source's effects. She caught it and drank it down, her eyes clearing instantly. Carlos, however, was not so lucky. He had been too slow, and the source had already taken hold. His eyes glazed over, and he began to walk towards Dr. Lee, his movements stiff and robotic. The chef knew he had to act fast. He grabbed Carlos and pulled him back, holding him in a tight grip. "We need to get him out of here, now," he shouted to Alex and Sophia. As they turned to leave, Dr. Lee cackled maniacally. "You'll never escape me," he shouted, pressing another button. The room began to shake, and the walls started closing in. The group knew they had to move fast if they wanted to survive. They fought their way through Dr. Lee's minions, the chef using his martial arts skills to take them down. Alex and Sophia covered him, using their culinary skills to distract the enemies and create an opening. Finally, they reached the exit. But as they emerged into the bright sunlight, they knew their battle was far from over. Dr. Lee's mind control source was still out there, spreading its influence across the town. And then, they saw it. A giant robotic chef, its eyes glowing red, its arms ending in sharp blades. Dr. Lee's latest creation, and his most deadly weapon yet. The robotic chef, dubbed Robo Chef, was a towering monstrosity, its metal body gleaming in the sunlight. Dr. Lee's maniacal laughter echoed through the streets as he controlled the robot from a distance. "Take them down, Robo Chef," he cackled. "Show them the true power of my culinary creations." Robo Chef charged forward, its blades whirring as it bore down on the group. The chef, Alex, and Sophia knew they had to act fast if they wanted to survive. The chef pulled out a can of his famous dragon's breath hot sauce and tossed it to Alex. "Use this to distract Robo-Chef," he shouted. Alex caught the can and sprayed the hot sauce directly at Robo-Chef's eyes. The robot let out a deafening screech as its vision was obscured. Sophia seized the opportunity, using her knowledge of the town's sewer system to lead the group to safety. They dodged Robo-Chef's wild swings and made their way into the sewers, the robot's angry roar echoing behind them. As they caught their breath, the chef turned to the group. "We need to come up with a new plan if we want to stop Dr. Lee and his mind control source once and for all." Alex nodded. "I think I know how we can do it. But we'll need to gather all of our allies and come up with a solid strategy." Sophia's eyes sparkled with determination. "Let's do it. We can't let Dr. Lee control the town any longer." They emerged from the sewers and made their way to the town's central square, where a large crowd had gathered. The chef, Alex, and Sophia stood on the steps of the town hall, looking out over the sea of faces. "My friends," the chef began, his voice booming across the square. "We stand here today to fight against a great evil. Dr. Lee's mind control source has taken over our town, and it's up to us to stop him." The crowd erupted in cheers and applause, and the chef continued. "We need your help. We need your bravery and your culinary skills. Together, we can take down Dr. Lee and his minions, and restore our town to its former glory." As the chef spoke, a group of rebels emerged from the crowd. They were armed with pots, pans, and kitchen utensils, and they looked ready for battle. "Who's with us?" the chef shouted, and the rebels cheered in response. Alex and Sophia joined the chef at the front of the crowd, and together they led the rebels towards Dr. Lee's fortress. The battle was about to begin. As they approached the fortress, they could see Dr. Lee's minions patrolling the walls. The chef gave a signal, and the rebels charged forward, using their kitchen weapons to take down the minions. The battle was intense, with pots and pans clanging against the walls and utensils flying through the air. But the rebels fought bravely, and soon they had breached the fortress gates. Dr. Lee himself emerged from the shadows, a maniacal grin on his face. "You fools," he cackled. "You'll never stop me. My mind control source will soon be spread across the world." The chef stepped forward, his eyes blazing with determination. "We'll see about that," he said, and charged forward. The chef and Dr. Lee clashed in a flurry of culinary moves, their skills evenly matched. Pots and pans clanged, utensils flew through the air, and the smell of sizzling ingredients filled the air. But the chef had a secret weapon, his famous dragon's breath hot sauce. He pulled out a small vial and tossed it at Dr. Lee, who stumbled back as the spicy liquid hit him. The rebels took advantage of the momentary distraction and charged forward, overwhelming Dr. Lee's minions. The mind control source was destroyed, and the town was finally free from its grasp. Dr. Lee himself was taken into custody, his maniacal laughter silenced at last. The town erupted in cheers as the chef, Alex, and Sophia emerged victorious. But as they celebrated, a mysterious figure watched from the shadows. A figure with a familiar face, Carlos, the mind-controlled townsperson who had been saved by the rebels. His eyes gleamed with a sinister light as he whispered to himself, "The mind control source may be gone, but its legacy lives on. And I will make sure it returns, stronger than ever." The rebels exchanged worried glances. They had thought they had finally defeated Dr. Lee and his mind control source, but now it seemed that a new threat was emerging. "We need to find out what Carlos is planning," the chef said, his voice low and urgent. "We can't let him bring back the mind control source." Alex nodded. "I'll see what I can dig up. But we need to be careful. If Carlos is involved, it means Dr. Lee's legacy is still out there, waiting to strike." Sophia's eyes narrowed. "I'll keep an eye on the town's culinary scene. If anyone is experimenting with mind-control ingredients, I'll know about it." The chef nodded. "Good. Let's stay vigilant. We can't let our guard down now." As they dispersed to their respective tasks, a faint hum filled the air. It was a low, ominous sound, like the quiet buzzing of a bee. The rebels exchanged uneasy glances. What was this new threat? And how could they stop it before it was too late? Suddenly, the hum grew louder, and a dark shape materialized in the sky. It was a massive drone, its wings beating the air as it hovered above the town. A voice boomed from the drone's speakers, echoing off the buildings. "Citizens of the town, you have been warned. The mind control source will return, and you will obey." The rebels knew they had to act fast. But how could they take down a drone that seemed to have come from nowhere? And what secrets was it hiding? The drone's ominous message sent a chill down the spines of the rebels. They knew they had to act fast, but taking down a drone that seemed to have come from nowhere wouldn't be easy. "We need to get to the bottom of this," the chef said, his voice firm with determination. "Alex, can you hack into the drone's system and find out who's controlling it?" Alex nodded and quickly got to work, his fingers flying across his keyboard as he tried to breach the drone's defenses. Sophia, meanwhile, examined the drone's exterior, searching for any clues that might reveal its origins. As they worked, the drone continued to hover above the town, its message repeating on a loop. But just as Alex was about to crack the drone's code, a sudden burst of energy shot out from the drone, knocking him off his feet. The rebels gasped in shock as a figure emerged from the drone's cockpit, Carlos, his eyes gleaming with a sinister light. "You fools," he sneered. "You think you can stop me? I have the power of the mind control source on my side." And with that, he activated a device that sent a wave of mind control energy washing over the town. The rebels knew they had to act fast, or risk losing everything they had fought for. But how could they stop Carlos and his powerful mind control technology? The mind control energy wave swept through the town, affecting everyone in its path. The rebels watched in horror as their friends and allies began to act strangely, their eyes glazing over as they fell under Carlos's control. But the chef, Alex, and Sophia were immune to the mind control source's effects, thanks to their earlier exposure and the antidote they had developed. They knew they had to act fast to stop Carlos and free the town from his control. The chef pulled out a small device from his pocket and pressed a button, activating a signal that jammed the mind control frequency. The townspeople began to snap out of their trance-like state, confused and disoriented. Carlos's eyes widened in anger as he realized his plan was being foiled. "You'll never stop me," he shouted, pulling out a small vial of the mind control source. "I'll make sure everyone in this town is under my control." But before he could use the source, Sophia tackled him to the ground, wrestling the vial out of his hand. The rebels cheered as Carlos was taken into custody, his mind control technology destroyed. The town was finally free from his tyranny. But as they celebrated their victory, a mysterious figure watched from the shadows, a figure who had been secretly manipulating events from the beginning. And with that, the figure stepped forward, revealing a shocking truth that would change everything. The figure stepped forward, revealing a shocking truth that would change everything. It was none other than Dr. Lee's long-lost brother, Dr. Lin. "I've been manipulating Carlos from the beginning," Dr. Lin revealed, a sinister grin spreading across his face. "My brother's mind control source was just the starting point. I've been working on a new, even more powerful formula. And now, with Carlos's help, I have everything I need to unleash it on the world." The rebels' eyes widened in horror as Dr. Lin pulled out a vial of the new source, its contents glowing with an eerie light. But the chef, Alex, and Sophia were not about to let that happen. With a fierce determination, they charged forward, ready to face whatever lay ahead. And the battle for the future of the town, and the world, began.